Yes, SCM Nation, we have made it to the conclusion of X-Men Apocalypse vs. Dracula. If you are new to the channel, my name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics, and we are covering the complete Apocalypse vs. Dracula series. If you need to catch up, you can just click the link in the playlist in the description. If you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok, we broke each issue down into 2 parts. But before we get into issue number 4, I'll give you a very quick recap. 500 years ago, Apocalypse met Dracula on the battlefield when he was still human, and he clapped them cheeks. But now that Dracula is a vampire, he sets off to get his revenge by turning each member of Clan Acuba into vampires. Now, even though Dracula did all of this, Apocalypse was still able to handle his business and dispose of most of Clan Acuba, but his #1 dude, Hamilton, was able to get away. He fled to Transylvania to be with Dracula, and now all Apocalypse wants to do is go to Transylvania, find Hamilton and find Dracula, and proceed to
stop a mud hole in your ass and walk it dry.
But there is one caveat. Unfortunately, when he was killing Clan Acuba, he got bit. So now let's see if celestial technology is stronger than vampirism. So our story starts off in Transylvania with Hamilton kneeling to Dracula, and if you look at Hamilton's face, you see a fresh cross scar that Van Helsing gave him in our last issue. And Dracula's doing his normal Dracula thing, and that's feeding on young damsels. And he's also giving Hamilton a hard time because he hasn't been able to dispose of Apocalypse, and this just pisses off Hamilton's mother because she's not turned and she's still loyal to Apocalypse. Like, she starts giving Dracula the business, talking about how Apocalypse is way better of a conqueror than Dracula can ever be, and how Apocalypse has done this and Apocalypse has done that. And then she proceeds to remind Apocalypse that way back in the day, Apocalypse on the battlefield. And before Dracula can say anything, Hamilton jumps up and rips his own mother's throat right out, because he knows that Dracula was probably going to handle her, and after that, he was going to handle him. And like I said before, these are comic book super villains, but if they weren't comic book super villains, they would be cold-blooded gangsters. And one of the things that gangsters do not accept is any backtalk. So now we transition to the village that sits at the foot of Dracula's castle, and we see that Hamilton's brother Frederick teleports everybody there, and they are greeted instantly by the town folks. But even though they're not vampires, they're also not friendly, and they hit our detective with a rock. So not only can he breathe out fire, but he also can breathe in fire, and he sucks all that fire off of the town folks' torches, and then he throws it right back at them. Van Helsing just starts clapping at him. They start clapping back, and Apocalypse just goes into beast mode, catches the bullets with his mouth, and then sends the bullets back faster than weapons released them in the first place. But in doing that, the vampire bite is starting to take its toll on Apocalypse, and he falls to one knee. Van Helsing goes and he says, "You're being weakened by the vampire bite." All Apocalypse heard was weak. He gets pissed off. He grabs Van Helsing. He's about to ready to put him on a t-shirt when there's a flash of lightning in between them, and then Dracula appears. And Dracula just appears, and he just starts talking all kinds of mess, talking about if anybody's reserved the right to kill Van Helsing, it's me. It will not be you. And an Apocalypse is like, "You, Van Helsing, I don't care. Somebody gonna catch these hands." So then right when Apocalypse was about to start putting it to Dracula, all of a sudden these rats appear out of nowhere. And then when you turn the next page, bats come out of nowhere, and then also wolves come out the woodwork, and they all start attacking Apocalypse and everybody. So Apocalypse chin checks this one wolf, and he looks around and he's starting to get pissed. So then he breathes in all this air, and then he starts blowing it out, and he creates like this whirlwind, and he blows all the animals away. So Apocalypse goes to handle Dracula again. He goes to swipe at him, and he's an illusion. And then Dracula goes, "If you want some, come get some, but you gotta do it at Castle Dracula." So Apocalypse goes to Castle Dracula, and obviously Dracula has all of his minions there to meet him. And then Apocalypse shows up. Since Clan Acuba has been taken care of, he calls up the original Riders of the Dark, you know, the people that were with him when Apocalypse first clapped them cheeks, and they all get to fighting. So eventually Apocalypse is able to get to the door, and he breaks it open, and he goes to Dracula, "Enough hiding, you blood-sucking coward." And then Dracula is like, "You know what, I agree. let's finish this. So while that's going on, the rest of Apocalypse's crew teleports into Dracula's castle, and the detective just instantly gets to burning down the castle. But then Hamilton appears, and the detective tries to start fighting him, but Hamilton is just way too much for the detective. And now we get to one of the best scenes in this whole story. So Hamilton is about to either bite the detective and turn him into a vampire, or he's about to rip his throat out. I don't know which one. When all of a sudden all you see is Frederick's hand goes around Hamilton's head, and Hamilton goes, "Frederick," and all of a sudden all you see is blink, and Frederick blinked his head from his shoulders. I don't know where he sent it, but it's not with his body anymore. And then Frederick's just sitting there with a little smile. To me, I'm thinking in his head, who's the fittest now? So now we transition back to Apocalypse and Dracula, and it looks like Apocalypse is about to cancel Dracula, and right before his attack is about to land, he stops in midair and can't move because Dracula now has control of him because of the vampire bite. So now Dracula does the one thing that all villains aren't supposed to do. He starts monologuing, and he's telling them how Apocalypse's blood is so different from any other blood he's ever had, and it's like invigorating. So I guess sometime in the third book, it wasn't just a vampire bite that he got, but it seems like Dracula bit Apocalypse himself. I guess he showed up to the fight, bit Apocalypse, and rolled out for obvious reasons. So then he's about to bite Apocalypse for a second time, when all of a sudden Van Helsing shows up and throws holy water onto Dracula, which burns him, and Apocalypse uses this one opportunity and he stabs the hell out of Dracula. And then Dracula is sounding just like he did in the first comic book, and he's telling Apocalypse this is not over, and Apocalypse goes, "Yes it is," and this cuts off his head. So then Van Helsing goes, "All right, quick, we need to take the head and we need to burn," and then Apocalypse just picks him up by the neck and he goes, "Who are you to interfere in Apocalypse's affairs?" And it looks like Apocalypse is about to cancel him. And he just puts him down and then he just walks away. So then we transition back to London, where Van Helsing and the detective are meeting up, and Van Helsing is letting the detective know that now he's on his way to Canada to see about the rumors of some kind of furry white man that's eating people. Obviously we're talking about a Wendigo. And then the detective's like, oh, the New World. My family will never step foot in the New World, which his last name is Starmore, and Chamber the Mutant is a direct descendant of the detective. So yes, his family will be in America. So now we transition to, I guess for all intents and purposes, a whorehouse, where Ozymandias has arranged that Frederick meet with a lady of the night, and she's like, "Oh, is everything okay?" He goes, "Look, everything's fine," and he's quite capable. Pretty much what's happening is he's making sure that Clan Akuba continues, since Frederick is now the only survivor of that clan, and he wants to try to keep it from Apocalypse, and the clan just serves under Ozymandias, and he thinks he's holding it from Apocalypse, but obviously the comic book ends with Apocalypse opening up his eyes, because I think he has an idea. So now that we finished this series, let me know in the comments, did you like it and did you hate it? Please, I really want to know. And no, I did not forget about the Fatal Attraction series. We got 2 more books that we need to cover, and then that series will be complete, and we're definitely going to get back to that. And obviously we're going to keep going on because Superman Batman is a long series, so that's going to be going on indefinitely, well, until we finish it. And we also have a new series that we're going to be covering. It's pretty much an X-Men book, but it has Avengers in the title. I want you guys to think about that one. In saying that, if you are new here to SEM Comics, please hit that subscribe button and become part of this SEM Nation. Once you become part of this nation, please hit that bell notification so you know when a new video comes out. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. Thank you guys for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. And you guys have a good day.